and today I'm going to be talking about INTP personality type, also known as the philosopher. And philosopher, amongst the other personality type I have been talking about, INTJs, ENTPs, and now I'm going to be talking about INTPs. They are rare personality types. I'm not saying they're any better or, in a sense, more special. I mean, everyone is special in some sense and in our own way. But everyone that has a type code, introverted and intuition in their type code letter, they only account about 25% of the population. So they are not this is not people you're likely first to meet, and it will also be characterized, but they think differently from what is most common, and that shouldn't be a surprise to you. And INTP have a personal relationship to INTPs because I'm an INTP myself, and and so I can understand the INTP's type description when I read Myers-Briggs type indicator and the INTP profile, my own sort of profile. I can relate to what is the description of an INTP, and it's very surprising to see that other people actually think similar, or at least in the same pattern, if you like. And what's characterized by an INTP is that when you see an INTP, when you talk to the person and they look away and they do a mental calculation. So when you meet an INTP, you talk to an INTP, they are often most likely to look to the side, and when they answer a question, it looks like they are doing some calculation in their head. And it has to do with INTP has a dominant what is called introverted thinking. So meaning they internalize the thought processes, and not only internalizing thought processes, they are basically comparing what you're saying, or at least checking what you're saying with your mental model of the world. So INTPs create this internal framework in order to understand the world. And this internal framework is, in a sense, a model in which how things works. And INTPs are concerned with the processes. They're concerned with being objective, logical based decision. And not only that, INTPs are experts in, I wouldn't say all INTPs, but they have the tendency to be the people that dissect your argument. They dissect your argument because that's what internalizing thought processes does. So it means they can see inconsistency in a logic. So in order for you to discuss with an INTP, you have to see they're most likely to dissect your argument and look for logical flaws. And they will spot this very easily because that's what comes most natural for INTPs, as there are dominant introverted thinking. And one way also to characterize an introverted thinking, in that in an organization there will be the person that would most likely to see the consequence of a change in a sense system. INTPs are intuitive thinking. Everyone that has introverted and thinking in their personality type code are system thinking. They are system either builder or system thinking. And INTP are system thinkers. So if you let's say if you do something to an organization, take away people or some form of change, the INTP is most likely to foresee what is going to happen and what the consequence of that change is. And it has to do with introverted thinking, is that introverted thinking has created this map of the organization, and they can see the logical relationship between this model, if you like, and changes to this, because they are process oriented, a change in the process, they will most likely to see the outcome. And so INTP are, in a sense, in an organizational, at least as a person in an organization, is most likely to thrive in a role in which they have to use their system thinking and their holistic point of view. Since they're intuitive, they're most likely to see things from a bigger picture. So you wouldn't want an INTP work with details, as the details is what comes later for an INTP, and what comes most natural is really this bird perspective of seeing things from above. And I like to show you a clip of Einstein is most likely to be an INTP according to most people, and I'd like to show you this video clip and have a look.
Spoken like a true bourgeois. Listen, I want to know how God created this world. I'm not interested in this or that phenomenon, in the spectrum of this or that element. I want to know his thoughts. The rest? The details.
Yes, but you can't feature.
You can see, Einstein, when he talks, he's not concerned with what is most common worldly matter of how day-to-day events are doing, and that's a very characterized of an intuitive person. And what happens is that Einstein takes things up a bit further up. He takes things to the, you could say, to the next level, in which that he's not only trying to understand the world, he's wanting to understand God and how God works. And you can see that most people in our day-to-day life, they would either be, in a sense, religious and follow some religious ritual, which is fine, but questioning religion is, you can say many people do, people have argument about religion, but Einstein takes it to the next level. Now he is trying to understand how God works, not in how religion works, which is common we see on TV. But he wants to understand how God works. And this is also characterized of an INTP. INTP wants to understand the truth. It's not a, I haven't met any INTPs, I haven't heard any INTPs that has not a sole purpose, in a sense of finding the truth, whatever the truth means. They are not satisfied with what is being said commonly and being given to them as they are being born, but rather they are questioning. It has to do with their introverted thinking is a critical uh, is a critical to what is common sense knowledge. So they are, in a sense, skeptical for what the usual, you can say, standardized opinions of worldly matters. And so you can an INTP is also characterized by questioning, and it is very common to INTP to question what is being said, and not only that, they also questions professors. They only question authority. They don't have the same respect for authority as most people. And what I'm saying to you is not only that I'm saying from my point of view as an INTP, but this is very similar to other INTPs, regardless of where in the world they are. And so I'd like to show you another clip and have a look.
We see some of what influenced Einstein in his early youth. Think of this young mind, contemplating unseen and immaterial forces, like that of the magnetic compass. It's like staring at the wide expanse of the horizon of the ocean, or the countless stars in the nighttime sky. You don't know where to begin. Because it cannot be visualized in its entirety, it's not quantifiable by the usual means of measure and thought. There's a sense of awe at the infinite.
He was 15 years old. He had asked himself, what would the world look like if I were speeding along on a motorcycle at the speed of light? What would I see? Well, you see, he answered that question in his 1905 paper on special relativity.
Einstein questioning from a very young age, and this is also another characteristic of an INTP is questioning. I mean, we see most children question, but INTPs questioning. I mean, they don't want to just question to have a simple answer. They want to understand the underlying principle of how the world works. So they want to create this consistent logical framework in how things work. And this is the nature of internalized thought processes, in that it wants to understand everything basically. And this 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 quest of understanding can take the whole life, or get the INTP observed. So that's why also another characteristic of an INTP is that someone will describe them as Wikipedia. They have the answers to many questions, and it has to do with they have taking the time to internalize knowledge. Basically, they take the internalized knowledge, and not only that is that they have this how can I say, they have this own understanding. They trust their own understanding of how things are. um, they are not relied on uh, the objective facts of the world. um, if you hand a journal to an INTP, and this is this all observation, objective facts, this is what the results show, an INTP would be able to read it and may accept this result, but not necessarily as INTJs would, or ENTJs would. And it has to do with, if these facts are not coherent with their inner logical framework, INTP is gonna reject it. And we see this in um, Einstein as well, not agreeing to the previous theory of gravity, and this quest of questioning all the time. And not only that, Einstein was characterized, but not doing experiments as most scientists. What Einstein did was doing mind experiments. He was doing questioning in his head, and he was finding the answer in his head. He didn't need to see any, in a sense, he didn't need to do the experiment to find an answer, because he was already mentally mapping the results in his head. Obviously, because he was, as in a sense, a physician or scientist, and so he had to eventually test this theory. But 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 the outcome of it already produced before any you can say results was obtained. And this is also another characteristic of an INTP, is there are many INTPs that would happen to be either become professors or philosophers, and in a sense they are the police of knowledge. And I had a philosopher teacher, and he said that philosophy is about policing the scientist, and I didn't quite understand what he meant by that. And now I understand is that um, scientists are limited in some way, and the philosopher comes to redirect their directions. And and it has to do with, they are not obsessed with what is being out there, but they trust their own internal thought processes. And so what more I could say about INTP, and I'm gonna almost stop there, is that if I already haven't said this, is that when you meet an INTP, when you talk to them, they are most likely to look at the side and do some mental calculation. And so when you talk to them, they might not necessarily look you in the eyes, and it has to do with their, in order for them to answer, they had to look in their mind. Unlike extroverted people, when they talk, they just talk without going into their mind. They generate answer as they are talking, so they can obtain eye contact and at the same time talking. But for INTP, um, internalizing thought process is what comes most. So they go into their head, and they start generating answer. And for them to go into their head, they have to divorce themselves from the external, going into their internal mind. And in a sense, you can see that INTP can take a long time to answer, because they are doing this mental calculation, but their answer is very coherent, is very founded, it's not something you can just argue away. And they also have difficulty explaining this their argument. I mean, they can have difficulty explaining what they're trying to say, but their explanation tends to be precise, using exact words to convey the message, as they are sort of confident in the world of concepts, in the world of ideas, in the world of definitions, and like I said, in the world of knowledge. So that's enough for INTP. I don't know what personality type I'm going to be talking next. I might be talking about careers, maybe, in terms of how different personality type is affected, or if not, in how they are in their role in the organization can utilize them the best. Thank you for now.